How's it going, Yu-Gi-Oh players? John from Team Almancore here, bringing you another deck profile of my Noble Knight deck. Longtime followers of the channel are probably tired of seeing this, but I decided to take it to San Jose Regionals, which was just over this weekend, and I was able to place top 64 with them. And the fact that I got top 64, considering the amount of people, it felt like an achievement to me. So since previous incarnations of the deck have been on the channel, I'm just going to run through the deck profile kind of quickly. So for the monsters, 3 Noble Knight Madrot, you gotta run them. 3 Noble Knight Boars, the most important Noble Knight in the deck, by himself at least. 2 Gwynnifer, important to be in the grave so you can equip to your dudes. 1 Gawain for Clutch XZ's monsters. 1 Brothers for more Clutch XZ's and to shuffle back your knights and your other noble cards back to the deck. And it gets you the draw. 1 Ector to avoid back row plays, and he's another dark level 5 to use with Gwynnifer. Just 1 Dristan. I had Dristan at 2 for a little bit, but I really just liked having the 1 of the deck. The second one always was just a dead draw, so having just the 1 Dristan was what I decided to go with. And then 1 Walshavad, just to get any knight back from the graveyard that I need. And for the only monster support that I run, just 2 Effect Veiler, because they're level 1 tuners and they're Effect Veilers, always good to stop monster effects. For the spells, the equips, 2 Caliburn because they're my favorite, 2 Excalibur, and 2 Destiny, the best equips of the deck. And then 1 Gallatin and 1 Arthur. My least favorite equips of the deck, but they came in handy when they needed to be. For the support spells, 3 Reinforcement of the Army, really important getting your dudes to your hand and just getting with your plays. 2 Dualities for consistency. I really hate this card in this deck, but you really need it just for the consistency. 2 Kaiser Coliseum. This card was a blowout this weekend. Every time I got it out, I usually won the game because they couldn't really do anything with a big king on board and then not being able to get any big monsters out. 2 Forbidden Lance to protect your plays. I cut the 3rd one because I figured I didn't really need it. 2 MSTs and 1 Release Restraint Wave to get rid of back row. Release Restraint Wave was awesome. Most players would set a bunch of back row and I would just hit them with the Release Restraint Wave, destroying most of the ones that mattered, and it was just amazing this weekend. 1 Foolish Burial. I added this last minute just to get Gwynnifer and Ector to the graveyard, just to get your plays going, so it helped with speed and consistency. 1 Soul Charge to get your guys back. It's Soul Charge. And then main deck Defissure, because I figured a lot of decks use the graveyard, so it really did hurt a lot of the decks that I played. And then for the only traps, 2 Curse Seal of the Forbidden Spell. This is my favorite trap card of all time. I decided to main deck it because almost over half of the deck is our spells, so this card was always live. I had stuff like MST, Tankies. Every time I activated this card, it was pretty much a blowout. For the extra deck, 2 Normal Kings. Every time I wanted this guy, just to get rid of back row, it was awesome. With Excalibur, he ranks up to the rank 5 guy, gets rid of monsters. This guy gave so many people problems, and it was so hard to get over. Every time I got him out, I usually won. 1 Ignoble Knight of High Lotsolin. A lot of people were expecting Armades when I went for the 5, but then to find out I went to this guy, it really helped getting what I needed to my hand. And surprisingly, I resolved his effect more than you'd think. 1 Starliege Paladynamo and Omega for our light overlays. Paladynamo put in some work. And Omega got out once, but it was easily gotten over, so I was considering cutting this guy from the deck. But I don't know, it's Constellar Omega. He's just a safe rank 4 to go into. 1 Hero Champion Excalibur. I cut Blade Armor Ninja just because Blade Armor Ninja is... The 2200 just isn't as big as you need it to be. Sure, you can equip the equip cards to him, but like I would rather save my noble swords for my knights rather than just putting it on on a Blade Armor Ninja to get over a monster, so I decided to just cut the Blade Armor Ninja and keep the Excalibur to get over big monsters. 1 Castell and Exciton Knight for spot removal. I never once went into Castell. I went to Exciton Knight once, got his effect to resolve once, and lost that game. But these guys were here if I needed them. 1 Abyss Dweller, never went into this. Hit graveyard cards, that's it. Never went into it. 1 Gaga Cowboy, also another one that I never went into, but it was nice to have just to end games. And then one of my favorite XZs, Crazy Box. I kept it in the extra deck just in case I saw Skill Drain, which I didn't, so I never went into this guy. But I really like to just keep him in the deck just in case I face a Skill Drain, because this Skill Drain really does hurt this deck a lot. And then the 2 big ones, El Shaddoll Winda and El Shaddoll Construct for the side deck, which you'll see right now. Monsters, 2 Flying Sea, hits the Geargias, hits any deck that really exes heavies, and it really hurts Burning Abyss because if they have 2 of their Burning Abyss monsters on the field, you summon the Flying Sea on the second summon and then it destroys the rest of them, and they're stuck with the Flying Sea. They can't summon their Burning Abyss monsters. They can get their Tour Guides out, but they're pretty much stuck with the Flying Sea that just Regeki their field. So I played this against my 1 Burning Abyss matchup and it was awesome. It was a blowout. 2 Forbidden Chalice. These used to be breakthrough skills, but last minute I changed it to Chalice just to have more spell targets for Curse Sealed. And Chalice was just amazing against any deck that had a bunch of effects, especially against Shaddoll. I'd attack into like their dragon or something, and then damage step, activate Chalice to negate their effect, and it was amazing. Really love this card instead of breakthrough skill. And then extra Kaiser, extra MST. Could easily just main deck these, but I wanted space for the Curse Seals. The Curse Seals were actually in the extra deck, or in the side deck. I decided to just cut one of these, just to have space, just to main deck the Curse Seals, because I felt like the Curse Seals would do much more damage than the main deck 3rd MST and 3rd Kaiser. But they're here in the side deck that if I needed them. And I never once sided in, well actually that's not true, I never sided into the 3rd MST except for when I was fighting my Geargia matchup. He would only ever set like 1 card at a time, so I decided to take out the Release Restraint Wave in favor of the 3rd MST, and that was the only time that I ever sided in the 3rd one, so I might just cut this for something else. 1 Regeki, because it's Regeki. And the Super Poly. This is the reason why I run the Construct and the Winda. If I'm fighting Shaddolls, I can either Super Poly their 2 monsters, or I can Super Poly my light monsters, or I can Super Poly my dark monsters. And I really felt like this was the crucial choice to put in the side deck, because my Shadow matchup is horrible, because they're Noble Knights, they're supposed to suck, but I got top 64, so I guess that doesn't matter. And then for the traps, 2 Rivalry of Warlord. I never sided in, but in retrospect, I probably should have sided this in against the Shaddoll and the Burning Abyss matchups. 2 Chain Disappearances put in work against the Burning Abyss player and the Batteryman player. I'm really glad I sided these. 2 Trap Stuns. I didn't side these in too much, but when I did side them in, I didn't see them, so I'm not sure about these, but they're Trap Stuns. They're good. They help my deck. And then the final card on the side, my 1 copy of Soul Drain to stop graveyard effects. Sided in against Shaddoll, didn't see it, so. As for my matchups, round 1, I fought Satellar Knights, which I really didn't expect to win. I ended up 2-0ing the guy because he didn't really know how to play against Noble Knights. He's never seen them before, and he ended up siding wrong. What really gave me game 2 was he activated Gozen Match, which would have hurt me if he didn't summon Maestro, which stopped him from summoning any other of his Satellar Knights. So I ended up just getting my resources fast enough in order to get over his stuff, and then just taking that round. Round 2, I got 2-0'd by Fire Fist, only because I drew terribly in the 2 games that I played. Both hands were unplayable. After game 1, he figured out that most of the time my Noble Knights would increase in their attack, so game 2 he overlaid into Ragnar Zero. And top decking Noble Knight Brothers, I set it, his turn, he destroyed it, got his setup out, and then my turn, I drew into a Madrat, but I couldn't do anything because of the Ragnar Zero, so I just gave him the game. I gave him the round. Round 3, I fought against Fire Fist. Again, game 1, I ended up curse sealing his Tenki, which really gave me that game. The best he could do was just search out the Tenki so he couldn't draw into him, but I eventually just broke through his defenses and got to his life points. Game 2, same thing, I got my setup, and he just couldn't get over it, so I got that game. Round 4, I fought against Shaddoll. I won one game against it, and then the next 2 I lost. I got really close to beating him game 3, but he ended up getting the BLS, banished my monster, and attacked me for game. Round 5 was a no-show, so I got that win. Round 6 was against Batterymen. I got 2-0'd by that just because they're Batterymen. They're really hard for me to fight for some reason. Round 7 was my Burning Abyss matchup. I got the first game and the third game. Second game, he just out-resourced me. The third game was when I got the Flying Sea on him, destroyed all his stuff, and then I ended up curse sealing MST, so he couldn't use MST on any of my equips. And then I ended up just taking round 3, just getting over his resources. Round 8 was another no-show. Round 9 was against another Batteryman, which I ended up taking the first and third games. I got rule sharked game 3, and the head judge ruled Caliber and Destiny wrong, saying that I can only use their effects once per turn, which is true for the second effect, but their first effects that give me 500 life points and protect my Noble Knight can be reactivated if they're destroyed and re-equipped. So I mean, it's whatever. They ruled it wrong. It was the head judge. I couldn't say anything, so I just went with it. I still won the match, but it was still really pissed me off that I got rule sharked. And then the final round, round 10, I fought against Geargia, which he won the first game super bad. He was playing the Machina Ancient Gearbox build that just spams a bunch of monsters, and I couldn't really do anything about it. And then I got OTK'd. Game 2, I established board presence with King first turn. He couldn't really do anything about it. And then game 3, I eventually got into my King setup. He tried to Exiton, got rid of all my equips, but I had the Gallatin in hand, and I drew into a Walshavad. I used King's effect to get rid of the Exiton. I equipped the Gallatin to my King, summoned a Walshavad, equipped a Queen, and then just attacked for game. So I mean, overall, even though I got 2 no-shows, I still feel like I played really well getting into top 64, especially the Noble Knights. As you guys already know, I love this deck to death, and to get that far using Rogue was just amazing. So that was my Noble Knight deck profile. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching.